in full-time Christian ministry in 1982. I had been working for a while, and I quit my job. And in the weirdest way, God says, I'm going to teach you how to live without money. That's not a good thing. That's not the kind of thing you want a loving father to tell you, because we all believe in God for breakthrough. And God says, I'm going to teach you how to live without money. And so I never had money. I'll go for months without money. And I was preaching all over. I was preaching everywhere. Everywhere there has to be preaching, I'll preach. I was following out people all over. I was preaching in villages and doing crusades and just running everywhere with no money. Many times I'll board transport with no money and go and sit in the transport, and somebody would just pay for me. I just bought by faith. It sounds silly now, but that's how I used to do it, by faith. And I said, Lord, if they kill me, I'm not the first to die for the sake of Christ. They beat me up, they beat me for Jesus. Nobody beat me up, but my fare was paid almost every time. I pray for everything. If the iron breaks down, I lay hands on it and it starts heating. Because God says he's going to teach me how to live without money. I don't have money to repair iron, just lay hands. Everywhere, just miracles. I used to live on a tall flat, 4th story. And the problems of Ghana didn't start today. There was no water. On the 4th floor, water doesn't flow. So you have to go downstairs, fetch water in the bucket, and go to the 4th floor. So one day, I just said, I believe God is able to do anything. I lay hands on the tap, and I command water to come out, and water came. I don't have a plumber. I only have faith. So I realized this faith thing can solve plumbing problem. Now, at that time, when the water was coming, I thought it was coming because, Ghana Water has changed its habits and is pumping water. So we were number 7, because there are 2 flats on each floor. So number 1, 2, we are number 7. Number 8 is the other flat number. So I went to the guys living in number 8, and the guy in number 8 came to our house and said, there's water here. I said, yeah, that's what the water company has opened the tap. He said, no, there's no water in our place. I went to number 8, no water. Number 7, there's water. Number 8, no water. Number 6, no water. Number 5, no water. Number 4, no water. Down, no water. Number 7, water. I'm not just saying this to impress you. I'm just saying God says, I'm going to teach you how to live without money. And I went through that period. If I needed money, the highest money I would receive would be 2 cedis. 2. And somebody will come and say, Brother Mensa, get this 2 cedis. Thank you. Spend it. I'm broke again. And then one day, I just heard deep in my heart, God says, you've learned a lesson. Now you can have money. And somebody gave me 10 cedis in 2 cedis. God has a sense of humor. And from that time, I learned that if I don't have money, I don't fret. Because I've learned that God is more than enough. So Paul says, if you want to do all things through Christ, you have to learn it. Some of the hardships you're going through, they are training schools. And one thing about training school is if you keep failing it, you repeat class. When you see the same problem happening to you over and over and over again, you are a bad student, most likely. You're not learning the lessons. Because if you learn the lessons, God will promote you to another level. And throughout my life, I have done some amazing things without money. Amazing things. And I can tell you so many of them. I don't want to tell you. You go and publish it in the newspapers. But the point I'm making is, Paul says, I have learned. Learn the way God deals with you. Learn from him. Learn trust. Learn confidence in the Lord. Learn to keep your still. Learn to keep quiet and let God defend you. I have seen God defend me in ways I never thought possible. When you're quiet and God says, just keep quiet. I will talk for you. And he will talk for you. When people who are powerful have already decided, and I can give you many testimonies, when powerful people have decided, finish him. And out of nowhere, God raises help. And later when you get to know how things occurred, you all know only God could have done that. So when you get to a point where you have no one to help you, no one to hold your hand, no one to support you, you know, I have learned how to abase and to abound, and I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Today everybody has left me, but I can still do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Some of the things God wants you to do, it doesn't require money. It just requires faith in him. And he wants you to trust him, so he's going to deny you money until you trust him. And the day you surrender and say, Lord, I believe you are able to do it, watch what he will do in your life. When Paul says, I can do all things through Christ, look at the journeys he went on, the places he preached the gospel. Nobody spread the gospel more than Paul within the technology available at that time. And yet, many times he was broke. Many times he was in prison. Many times he was beaten. Many times he was cast aside. And when he talks about his litany of problems, you wonder, how could a man with so many problems do any good? But a man with all these problems, with shipwrecks, with hunger, with stripes, with betrayals, with all the things he talks about, still changing the world. So don't come and tell me I have problem, my husband left me, I can't change the world. You can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. Don't come and tell me your problem and tell me, well, so and so left me and so abandoned me and nobody helps me, and when I look to the right, nobody's there. Have you looked up? Have you looked up? Because there is help from above. Thank God there is not help around you, but there is help from above. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Some of you are going to take on projects that are bigger than your ability. You're going to do things that nobody has ever done. When you look at your dream, it scares you to wake up. You look at a project you want to undertake, and you look at your resources, and you say, how can I ever be able to do that? Remember, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Not through my money in the bank, not through my connection, not through who helps me, but through Christ who strengthens me. Paul says, I have learned how to abase and to abound. I learned it. For pastors, learn it. Learn it. Because what I see with many pastors, we all get discouraged. Especially when you go to somebody's ministry and see what he's doing, and you feel like a lizard. Oh yeah? Sometimes you go to somebody's ministry, you walk through his place. I know Pastor Adeboye very well in Nigeria. Went to his, preached for him last year December. Went to his new facility. I said, what? Am I alive or what? Am I a human being? What? I mean, he's built a facility 3 kilometers long, 3 kilometers wide. We all have the same Holy Ghost. Pastor Steve, this your building, I don't know what it will be there. Where the ushers meet is about 5 or 6 times this auditorium. The stage, the platform, is about 20 times this place. 8,000 choristers sit on the right, 5,000 pastors here, 2,000 pastors in the middle. Now when you go to a place like that, then you feel like saying, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani. Because you look at something like that and you feel, will I ever do something great? What is wrong with me? But you can also look at that and smile and say, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. If he can do it, I can do it too. In my own way, I may not build 3 kilometers. Who knows? I may build 6 kilometers wide and 6 kilometers long. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. For the first time you see it, you feel small. But if you stand still a little, Christ will grow on the inner man. And you can look at that and say, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Whatever you have gone to see in life that makes you feel like you are nothing, you are nobody, you have done nothing, you can achieve nothing, I came here to announce to you, you too You can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. You have learned how to abase. Now the next lesson is how to abound. If you've learned how to live with poverty, God will teach you how to live with prosperity. That is a whole new lesson. Because poverty has a way of branding you. It brands your mind with scarcity. When we were growing up, my mother used to tell me, remember, Mensa, we are poor. My mother told me that all the time. Remember. I remember when I was going to secondary school Form 1, my mother called me and said, remember, we are poor people. Don't go and imitate the rich people who go and say, we are poor people. Take care of your knickers. Take care of your soap. We are poor people. When you go to the dining hall, eat the food. We are poor people. We won't give you provision. You must eat the food. Poverty can brand you, believe you me. So you go through life thinking we are poor. Even when God prospers you, you think you are poor. So when I went to secondary school, Form 1, I was in Form 1, and the school went on strike. And I was a Form 1 student. And they said they didn't like the food. So nobody should eat. So I went to the dining hall, nobody was eating. So I went to sit down, ate my food, pulled the next plate, ate it. I was on the third plate and a senior came to hold the back of my shirt. Say, hey, what are you doing? I said, I'm eating. My mother said, we are poor. When I come to school, I must eat. You can go on strike. I don't know where you came from. But as for me, I don't miss this one. There's no soakings for me. There's no milk for me. There's no sugar for me. The only thing I have is dining hall food. If you have your luxury of saying it's not good, God bless you. I will eat your food for you. So when you grow up with poverty mentality, you buy a new shoe, you hide it for 2 years. I don't know whether you want it to be old before you wear it, but it's almost as if, hey, if I wear this shoe, then what will happen? Nothing will happen. You wear it. So poverty has branded you. So Paul says, I know how to abase and I know how to abound too. In other words, when God blesses me, I don't act like a poor man. There are people whom God has blessed, they still want to act like poor people. They're still misers. They're still buying little things, as if the money will get finished. Paul says, you have to learn how to live large. You have learned how to live small. Learn also how to live large. And when God causes you to abound, don't apologize for it. People may not like it. They may hate you for it. But thank God you learned 2 lessons, how to abase, and now you are learning how to abound. I pray you'll get to that season in your life where you will learn how to abound and you can say, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. You have to learn to eat like a rich person, because you know that Ghanaian eating is based on the poverty model. Plenty carbohydrate, very little meat. So in Ghana, when we are mentioning food, we mention the carbohydrate first. You ask somebody, what are you eating? Fufu. He won't say light soup or goat soup with fufu. It's fufu. Are you eating the fufu by itself? No. With what? Soup. And what? Some meat. So it's like poverty before prosperity. It's conditioned. It's been wired into our brain. What are you eating? I'm eating yam. Are you sure? No. If you ask a European, he's saying, I'm eating beef stew with potatoes. I'm eating steak with some rice. I'm eating grouper with whatever. Protein before